amazing revelation has been discovered. But first, let us begin with the ancient Sumerian story. Enki, though brilliant, was a spoiled child, jealous of his brother-in-law, and wanting a kingdom of his own. When Nibiru was faced with the crisis of loss of atmosphere, the Anunnaki decided to mine gold on the earth to reseed their atmosphere. Enki saw it as an opportunity to grab power. He fomented a worker revolt, knowing that he could use Nibiru's emergency to force the council to accept anything. Enki wanted a world filled with slaves that he could rule over.
Listen up.
Which is something neither the council nor the Anunnaki would have ever allowed. But Enki was shrewd. He convinced the council that Nibiru would die if the gold-seeded atmospheric shield was delayed. He convinced them that the workers would not return to duty as they were following his orders, since he was in charge of the mining operation. He convinced the council that the only solution was to create a non-sentient species out of the highest order ape available to do the labor, but make them incapable of reproduction so they would naturally die off.
Ooh, what's happening now?
The council saw no alternative, so they reluctantly and conditionally agreed, and they allowed Enki to carry out the plan. But Enki pulled a fast one and gave the new species the ability to breed, wanting a permanent stock of slaves for his planned kingdom. Enki went even further. He didn't just manipulate the ape's DNA, but he actually infused Anunnaki DNA into the mix.
That's why the white man is different.
Slaves that he would find attractive and acceptable to be in the company of. Enki did this both in the laboratory and also allowing his loyal striking workers to inseminate the females he created. This we find in Genesis 6, which led to the Nephilim. When Lord Anu and his son, Lord Enlil, learnt of this treachery, Enlil was sent to the earth to correct his brother's sin against the universe. As the Anunnaki have very strong moral code, Enlil took over on earth and brought Enki to justice, but it was too late. Enki had created several abominable and potentially dangerous seed lines, all without Anunnaki spirit and without Anunnaki morals and virtues. These were savage slaves that resembled the Anunnaki but were violent beasts.
Who is that on the planet?
The council decided that such an abomination must never be allowed to progress, because they would be a cancerous infestation to the universe and a danger to any other species they encountered. But because of Anunnaki morals, the genocide of a related race was nearly unthinkable. So they decided to let a natural event destroy this abomination. They knew that Nibiru's next close pass by the earth would cause massive flooding, wiping out the abomination. They decided to let it happen. Enki didn't want to lose this opportunity to have a kingdom of his own, so he went against the orders of the council and protected segments of his created beings from the flood. When the council learnt of this, they were livid, and Enki paid a price for his treachery.
Pause. Now, when he said the flood came and he saved some of them, right? This is where Noah's Ark, and this is where Mount Ararat comes into play. my people. And now Nibiru, or what you call the red planet, dwarf star, whatever you want to call it, is now on its nearest past again, or here. And what's happening? Not flood, but what? Radiation, fire, aka radiation. Here we go.
But this left a growing species that was still as dangerous as ever. Satan, a reptilian, petitioned the council to eradicate man, so the threat would be contained. But man's true savior, Lord Enlil, who was Lord Rael, fought against Satan in front of the council on behalf of man. Lord Enlil argued that man was part Anunnaki and therefore possessed the divine spark, and if properly educated and nurtured, they could one day be equals. Satan vehemently disagreed, asserting that a species cannot be taught to have morals, that the law of love is either written in their hearts or it is not.
Right.
The council found logic in both sides of the argument and offered a compromise. Since Satan was man's chief accuser, he and his people would be allowed to utilize part of Lord Enlil's plan to educate, but at the same time weed out those that would not be capable of evolving. The plan would give Satan a set amount of time to fulfill this directive, after which he was to hand over the earth to its rightful custodians, the Anunnaki, at which point those that were considered evolvable would be educated and nurtured under the Anunnaki for a period of 1,000 years, before becoming full and free members of the council themselves.
What's happening right now? What's happening right now? And this was an old video of mine, throwback, that got over 1-point-something million views. But they're gonna show you when you click on the video 88,000. But YouTube sent me the certificate. What's happening right now? When they was created, they wasn't allowed to reproduce. And the sun is sterilizing them right now. I told you I was before my time. See that right there? I was before my time.